Hello and welcome to Mtoto News Insight, where we bring you news and information as it comes to our desk. I am Anne Wamboi. Eatrights launched the Abidjan Principles in a media briefing on the 21st March 2019 at the Heron Portico Hotel, Nairobi, with different key players from the government, community members, and media present. The document contains guiding principles on the human rights obligations of states to provide public education and to regulate private involvement in education. These principles also outline a step in state that can take when it comes to supporting private schools, but also to prioritize public schools, as it is required by law that the state has an obligation to provide free, quality education to the children in the country.
The Abidjan Principles on the human rights obligations of state to provide public education and regulate private involvement in education were adopted in Abidjan, Côte d'Ivoire, following a 3-year consultative forum in which organizations came together to put together these principles. Today, we are making the Abidjan Principles public after their final editing. The content of the guiding principles has been defined and finalized by a group of internationally recognized independent experts from around the world in their private capacities. The guiding principles are unique insofar as it has made attempts to bridge the legal and non-legal community to make innovative and independent analysis while being rigorous to existing international law as ratified by states, and to be pragmatic without sacrificing legal principles. It is our position that the Abidjan Principles constitute a significant new tool that states and other stakeholders should use for implementing the right to education, and consider this as a landmark development for the protection of the right to education.
These principles, there may be 3 key ideas in the text that we want to highlight. Firstly, and that's what's summarized in Principle 2, is that all states have an obligation to provide free, quality public education. And every one of us, all of us, have a right to public quality education. So everyone who wants to be able to go to a quality public school must have this possibility. If you look then at the next principles, Principles 3 and 4, they look at the role private schools can play. And the text does not say there cannot be private school. It is not against private school, and in fact the text does guarantee the liberty for private schools to exist. No state can forbid entirely private schools from existing. However, where private schools exist, they must be very well regulated. Again, the state cannot give up its responsibility to deliver education. So you must have a public school everywhere. In Mathare, there must be enough public schools for everyone. But they can be in addition to that, supplementary to that, not instead of that. They can be private schools. If they're there, they need to be regulated.
And moving on, cases on child rights violation have been on the rise in Kenya. The most recent developing story is of sexual abuse, where boys were sodomized at Matayas of Uganda Children's Home run by Catholic Church in Machakos County. Constance Ndeleko has more details.
This is a story of a 13-year-old boy who reported the incident at Machakos police station that led to revelation of the other 8 boys taken advantage of in the same facility. The young boy who revealed that some pupils at the school had confessed to each other about them being sodomized. All this was uncovered when the alleged suspect forced a day scholar to engage in the act with him.
Nisiambie mtu kama amenifanya hiyo kitu. Nikamwambia sawa, sitasema. alafu akaanza kunifanya.
The facility hosts a primary school wing that is open to local community, which was ordered to be shut down after a revelation that a cook who has been a member of the facility and has been working at the charity facility is the perpetrator of sexual abuse to the 9 boys. According to the boy, the cook will lure his victims with food, and once inside the kitchen, he will sodomize them and threaten not to give them food if they mentioned it to anyone.
Nilitoka kufagia, nikaitwa kwa jiko hapo ndani, kaongezea mchele na supu, alafu nikakula. Alafu huyo mtu akaenda akafunga mlango, alafu akaanza kunitoa nguo.
The matter was reported at Machakos Police Station and filed on the 15th of February after they received a call of the heinous act from the head teacher. On February 24th, Kenya Human Rights Commission went to Machakos to follow up on the progress of the case. The Children's Department and the Kenya Human Rights Commission visited the school and found out that 8 more boys between the age of 13 and 14 years had been repeatedly sodomized for nearly 3 years.
It's really sad for an institution registered to care and protect children to fail in their mandate.
The rest of the children are still in the facility under protective custody as they await for conclusion of investigation and for their parents to pick them up. It is in hopes that justice will prevail to all these children and the suspect will be brought to book. As this case is expected to be mentioned for next week, Wednesday, I am Constance Ndeleko.
And moving on, a 16-year-old student at Kabarus Day School in Litein, Kericho County stabbed his mother's lover to death after he allegedly found them making love in the kitchen at Ririat village in Bureti constituency. Lucia Werimo has more.
Mercy Mutai, a neighbor, said that on Monday night she heard the suspect arguing with the deceased Michael Chirono, a 65-year-old man, over his clandestine mission in the homestead. Area Chief Anderson Rotich said the suspect lost his temper after the deceased dared to continue an affair with his mother, who is a widow. The young man had banished the man from the compound before, and when he found him making love with his mother in the kitchen, he lost his temper. He beat the old man before picking a knife and stabbing him twice in the chest, and the man died on the spot. Reporting from Total News, I'm Lucia Njeri.
Now, during the 1998 Nairobi U.S. Embassy bomb, great scores were reported in various ways. Judy was 2 months pregnant, and fast forward to today, her 18-year-old girl is missing since February 2019. She was last seen in Muthura High School on February 27, 2019. Miriam Jomo reports.
Caroline Wairimu, whose mother Judy was pregnant with her at the time of the Nairobi U.S. Embassy explosion, is now 18 years old and a Form 4 student at Muthura High School in Kiambu. She was last seen at the school on February 27, 2019, and the matter reported to Tingoni Police Station 2 weeks after relatives searched for her, but to no avail. Thursday marks 22 days since her sister Rosemary and grandmother Josephine Wamboi last saw her. The August 7, 1998 bombing saw Caroline's mother and sister sustain serious head injuries inside the Kenya bus that they had boarded to town. Her sister Rosemary was only 2 years old at the time, and when she was taken to hospital, she was mistakenly pronounced dead. In an interview with Citizen TV last year, Rosemary narrated how doctors realized she was still breathing, yet she was taken to the morgue.
Mimi nilikuwa ati nimewekwa kwa watu wenye wamekufa. Sasa ndio daktari mmoja sasa akakuja akasema huyu mtoto hajakufa, apelekwe kwa machine aangaliwe. Nilikaa in coma for 21 days bila ati kujisikia kwenye niko.
Their mother, on the other hand, was in surgery as doctors battled to save her life and that of the baby in her womb. This they did, but she remained hospitalized for 7 more months until she gave birth to Caroline. As Caroline grew up, she would often ask for her mother, but would get indefinite answers as the family struggled to pay the hospital bill by selling most of what they had.
Shosha hakuwa anataka kuniambia, so kila time nilikuwa naulizanga kwani mamako, so ananidanganya. Yeah, but na pray to God, rest in peace kwenye tu wako. Na juange nilikuanga nampenda hata kama sikuwa namjua sana.
The older child, who had been discharged from the hospital, resumed school but would often go without food, her grandmother left unable to provide. Their mother later died in May 2006. Caroline, on the other hand, grew up with a loving sister and grandmother, Josephine. They are appealing for anyone with information on Caroline to alert the police so that they can be reunited with a child who was born despite the odds that followed the 1998 terror attack.
The African Committee of Experts on the Rights and Welfare of Children Session 33 kicked off in Addis Ababa, Ethiopia on the 18th and is expected to end on 28th March 2019. During the session, two important reports were launched, namely Mapping Children on the Move Within Africa, that highlights the challenges children face as they migrate, the reasons why children move, and it gives recommendations to improve children from moving, and Stolen Features report, which highlights the impact of corruption on children, which includes school dropouts, high healthcare cost, and burden of debt.
And saying that brains are built over time from the bottom up. It's just like a house. If you want really a good house, you need to look at the foundation. So the foundation is where it begins. You build a concrete foundation, your house will stand there, come rain, come shine. You need to do, of course, maintenance. Okay, but in another way, the house will be there. So it's the same thing with the brain. So simple neural connection and skills form first, followed by more complex. And we will look at this. Which are the critical time period for brain development and what can be done? The other thing is that we know is that the connections that form early, I think for this forum, we are working towards ensuring that children's rights are protected. So the adverse condition can come in many forms, okay? Poverty is one of them, okay? Children displaced, children in war, children abused and so on. So all these have impact on the child's brain.
How we can use the context that we have learned today, firstly, is to promote positive parenting. This is because ECD covers issues about children as young as those who are unborn, throughout birth and throughout their growth, and therefore this means that parents can start as soon as the children are in the womb, so that their rights can be taken care of.
The CSO Forum held a pre-session under the theme Humanitarian Children's Rights First. The discussion focused on the looming human development crisis, with an estimated 1 billion children expected to be born by 2050. The forum recommended that ACRWC committee to urge member states to increase investment on early childhood development and ending violence against children as a way of easing the crisis and taking advantage of the bulging population.
If you provide information, appropriate information in advance, what happens? We are preventing unwanted pregnancies. That means that girls will continue with their education. That means that girls will finish education and will have gainful employment. That means that the many households that are led by women will still have some income. So tying it to so many perspectives and looking at the social and also the gender equality perspective, because when we restrict access to comprehensive sexuality education, there's of course one gender that is going to be left behind.
That report brings us to the end of this week's news bulletin. Thank you for tuning with us. Follow us on our social media pages at Mtoto News and visit our website at www.mtotonews.com. Thank you and see you next time. I am Anne Wambui.